The Oinam story started 33 years ago on this day, the 9th of July 1987. What happened in Oinam and its surrounding areas 33 years ago and the months that followed is a story which cannot be retold. The human sufferings cannot be retold. But this same experience of human sufferings has been going on in all Naga areas since the beginning of the Naga national movement for self-determination, right from the 1950s. But in the past, the human sufferings were unrecorded and unknown because the people themselves were not empowered to share their stories. The difference this time is what happened in Oinam, after what happened in Oinam, the people of Oinam and all its surrounding areas were able to speak out their stories. So this also enabled human rights organizations, especially the Naga People's Movement for Human Rights, to take the army and the government to the court. And we have made the Indian Army pay in many ways, and the sufferings of the people were also made known to the world. And in this regard, I want to thank the people of Oinam and all the surrounding areas for courageously coming out to share your stories, which has enabled the Naga struggle for the last more than 70 years to be heard by the rest of the world. So on this day, I salute you and I want to thank you on behalf of all Nagas who believe in the rights of the Naga people for self-determination. Thank you.
Due to constraint of time, I won't be able to I hope you excuse me for that. The Naga people's offense is very much with the people of Oinam village, and also all the neighboring villages who have suffered in this infamous Oinam incidents. I would say it's a day of glory for the Naga movement, but a day of grief for the people of Oinam and the neighboring villages. I would like to thank the Naga People's Movement for Human Rights for all the initiatives taken to deliver justice to the victim families and victims. And I, on behalf of the Naga People Organization, give our solidarity to the movement to deliver justice for our people. Long live Naga's movement.
Thank you, Mr. J. Kamusha, the host and also the General Secretary of PNU, for giving me this privilege to give this solidarity message on behalf of the Naga Women's Union. Yes, it is not easy to recount the one incident which is infamously known by the court named Operation BlueBird, when the Assam Rifles at Oinam village was attacked on the 9th July 1987, which turned the whole of Oinam village and its surrounding villages to truthful terror. During the Indian Army's Operation BlueBird, many degrading inhuman practices were carried out by the army officers. The unimaginable actions they took included burying villagers alive, after third-degree torture, killing of innocent village leaders in front of the villagers, inflicting unbearable suffering to pregnant women and infants, committing gross human rights abuses, including extrajudicial executions after the severe third-degree torture, causing severe injuries, rapes, and sexual harassments, burning, looting, and reckless destructions of public and private properties, including school, buildings, and church. Illegal evictions, raids, seizures, detentions, arrests, and forced labor even of children and women to such an extent that they are disfigured for life, apart from suffering the trauma of recurrent distressing dreams of the event. As all we commemorate the Battle of Oinam, Operation BlueBird, today, to renew the connections of solidarity that empowers communities towards achieving democratic values, building our future in the memory of all those who have suffered and died during Operation BlueBird. We have a crucial role in bringing about change in the minds of humanity by the value of love, dignity of life, justice and peace, despite hardships and challenges we face. Let us commit to the reaffirmation of our aspiration through unity and change in society. Good morning. Thank you.
Circumstances you cannot be here in this program. Therefore, on behalf of Naga students, all Naga Students Association Manipur, I bring one greetings from the office of ANSAM on this historic day, as we mark the red letter day in the history of Naga political movement and Naga's right to self-determination. 33 years ago today, the 9th July 1987, where the people of Oinam and its neighboring villages have gone through nightmare and faced the worst military atrocities. It remains one of the most infamous and horrific cases of systematic violations of human rights committed by Indian security forces. Today, as we commemorate and retrospection the past, we remember and pay our highest respect and salute to the brave heart of Oinam and its neighboring villages for their supreme sacrifice, courage, commitment, and they have given for the cause of Nagas. It is because of their great courage and sacrifice the Naga people's political journey has reached thus far. The Nagas will never forget the people of Oinam and the neighboring villages for the cause as
And you are a sign of bondage and slavery,
for which they have suffered and given for the cause of Nagas as one of the strong foundations for the Naga political and historical rights. The issue is dear to all of us. As we carry the journey forward as we the struggling people. The history of progress and freedom has been written and will continue to be written. The hard-earned political achievement has come at a cost of untold sufferings and supreme sacrifice that rendered by the thousands of Nagas, sons and daughters. We will continue to stand and defend our identity, rights, and history which God has given to us, no matter what the situations or circumstances before us. We stand committedly to the genuine aspiration of Nagas. We will commit to continue to serve our people and defend our land and history so that one day we can be an honorable living in the days to come. The office of Oinam urges our young Naga brothers and sisters to extend support and stand up for the rights of the Nagas and make sure that our voice is heard by the world. Oinam may not be able to give the honor that deserved by the martyrs, but we wish to carry forward their spirit and remember them, their lives as the memories, as our heroes. Though the justice is still waiting, the great battle of Oinam will continue to inspire the Naga people in safeguarding the land, unique history, and our political rights. We shall never surrender, and our fellow men shall not walk in shame for being victims of BlueBird oppression. Rather, it is a pride, for it has shown to the international world that the Nagas are struggling people for self-determination. The journey of hope for justice will continue until it is delivered. In solidarity, the office of all Naga Students Associations stand with the peoples of Oinam and the neighboring villages. Thank you, Nalin.
Due to time constraints, I will refrain myself from addressing this gathering in an individual manner, but be rest assured that my highest respect to each one of you. Today marks the 33rd year of the Great Battle of Oinam and the crime perpetrated against the village of Oinam and 21 other neighboring villages post the event. As I stand here today, I am dwarfed by the sacrifices made by these brave hearts, which transform the entire dynamics of the Naga people's struggle for self-determination. The Naga Students Federation, representing the aspirations and the voices of the youth and students spread across 4 states and 2 countries, remembers with fondness and reveres this dark yet very significant chapter of the Naga history. Though the deadly COVID-19 has stopped us short from gathering in a large manner, be rest assured that these brave hearts deserve much more than what we are giving them today. Today, the Naga Students Federation joins entire Nagaland in paying our deepest respect for those promising lives cruelly taken away from us. We stand in solidarity with our mothers and our sisters who were raped and molested. We condemn the inhuman act of torture and detention. We condemn all activities wherein our women were forced to give birth in public, our properties destroyed, our churches desecrated, and our schools dismantled. We stand with the people of Oinam and the neighboring villages in their fight for justice. The Naga Students Federation salutes the legacy left behind by our brave hearts for each one of us to take forth. To them, we say thank you for keeping the interest of the Naga people first and everything else later. Their exemplary sacrifice speaks volume of how willing they are to give everything for the larger interest of the Naga people and for a cause that is just and fair. To the loved and dear ones of our brave hearts, the Naga Students Federation says thank you for willingly accepting our beloved, for willingly accepted to let your beloved young ones shoulder the responsibilities of our nation. The Naga Students Federation stands with each one of you, and we want you to be reassured in the fact that these sacrifices have not gone in vain. Taking this opportunity, I, on behalf of the Naga Students Federation, and also on my own behalf, would like to reiterate the earlier appeal of the Naga Students Federation to the Naga people. That is, to sever ties with all elements that is hampering each one of us from coming together, to love one another unconditionally, to respect each other's weaknesses, and accept our differences. This, the Naga Students Federation is convinced, will be the best and surest way of honoring the sacrifices made by our brave heart. Taking this opportunity, due to the presence of the rank and files from our GPRN, NSC and GPRN, I'd like to remind the government that the Kumai Naga may had short forward a memorandum to the Office of Other Councillor, Longdipu, and also to the Kilok Councillor, with containing 3 chapters of demand. This happened in the year 2018. I'd like, on behalf of the Naga Students Federation, I'd like to assure the PNGM of our fullest support and also remind the government, our government, to expeditiously look into the matter. Thank you so much. Kumnalini.
I will also refrain from addressing all of you. You are all very important people. It's a small gathering, but it's a very high quality gathering. And I may take little longer time than, as usual, my solidarity message. We are back to 1987, 9 July, some 33 years ago. From all the narrations of the former speakers and from the Oinam village leaders and from all the former speakers. My respected leaders from all from the state, like from the organization, and all the leaders from this year. This observation always brings us a kind of a reflection, the memories, what has happened, what has taken place. This has taken place heavily in many occasions. Exceptionally and extremely, it has taken place in Oinam 33 years ago, and some other places equally. And also from time to time, so many of our leaders have given their life in this condition. Why Oinam incident took place? Why that BlueBird operation took place? And why that tragedy and victory took place in that particular realm? It could have been taking place in many other places, but it has taken place in Oinam village. We must stand with the Oinam villages, with our soul and heart and spirit, for the burden they have bear on behalf of the Naga movement. 1997, the incident took place. And after 10 years, the ceasefire signed in 1997. And from that 1997 till today, for about more than 23, 24 years, talk has been going on. I'm just going to narrate some 10 years ago, one writer who has made a very, very reasonable analysis of the Manipur Nagas. Why Manipur Nagas has failed, despite so many rallies and agitation and so many movements and so many lives it has caused. You see, Manipur na karam failed out ignore. Why Manipur didn't achieve anything? Okay, our Indo-Naga framework talk is going on for about more than 20 years. Adubo, in sideways, in between. Kadigi, Manipur Nagas is may hope to be. Why? Haiba analysis on RPA. Despite the able leadership, the capacity, the statesmanship of our government, of our GPN government leadership, if you look at them, at the leadership, the capacity, the strength, ꯑꯁꯤꯗꯗꯤ ꯌꯦꯡꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ surely solutions in future, the solutions certainly likely. Solutions should happen. Thorakini, maybe mati thorakini. But matam asupay na chatato may pamdamda magi writer gi observation ay koy manipur naga people say. People say ay koy say the south naga say we are too dependent on the NSNI. NSNI the young depend talaga. Makoy na puratini haraga ay koy naiban talaga. Atung ang naiban naman ay masses din public. Kaya ay focus kaya na strategy weba idea raw step na si top as karawat ni. Ado di si maram si le na